In the meantime, we'll see how it plays out today in Kansas City. The so-called jail tax is on the ballot. It is an extension of the public safety sales tax that is already in place in Kansas City that will go in large part to fund a jail, which Kansas City has not had over the last 10 years. Brad Lemon is here, the Fraternal Order of Police president for KCPD, joining us on KCMO Talk Radio. Brad, good morning. Why is this something that Kansas Cityans should be voting in favor of?
Well, first, good morning, Pete. At the end of the day, the city closed the farm, the municipal jail, quite a long time ago, and since then we've been operating in a series of patchwork pieces to try to figure out how to protect this city with very, very, very limited resources to do so. And unfortunately, we're in a situation where we have domestic violence suspects that have been released back to their families after what they've done. We've got stealing suspects we keep arresting over and over and over. We can't hold. It's not just a jail facility. I mean, at some point we've got to have a conversation about these at-risk individuals that continue to take advantage of victims, whether it be homeowners, or stores, or their spouses or girlfriends, and give us the opportunity to put them in a period of time where they're being forced into some sort of treatment pattern and get an opportunity to try to fix this before it escalates into into a state case. And right now, we don't have that opportunity.
How does it get determined whether or not a suspect gets brought out to Vernon County and Johnson County, Missouri, or if you just have to basically release them?
Well, that's it. If they're full and, or we don't have the time, or, we can't hold people for 8, 10, 12, 14, 16 hours, 24 hours in these little teeny cells that, they were just never built to do those things. So generally, it's a crapshoot. Some make it and some don't, and it's just not perfect. And we've got you get involved in a domestic violence incident on a Friday afternoon and get arrested. There may not be any rides to any of the other counties until Monday.
Oh, wow.
So we end up in a situation where a lot of domestic violence suspects are almost, unfortunately, required to be released because we can't get them anywhere. We can't hold them.
Wow. Now, I have heard from some folks who say, hey, I'm bothered by the fact that the ballot language does not guarantee its usage for a jail, and they don't trust this city council to basically use that money towards a jail. What would you say to that?
I mean, it's ridiculous. This thing's been worked on a million different times. Do I wish there would have been a lot more language in there? Yeah, I do. But look, I'm the first person to tell you I don't trust things that happen all the time in City Hall. But in this one, I'm telling you, it's going to happen. It's important for the city. The mayor's been very clear on it. All the city council people are 100% behind it, except for I think one. So it's going to get built. We're going to be able to help this city, but we need the voters' help today.
Mm-hmm. Go to the polls. They're open until 7 o'clock tonight. Brad Lemon is here, Kansas City Fraternal Order of Police president on KCMO Talk Radio. So just the last 10 years or so that we have not had a jail. You've obviously been around this town a long time. Is it even worse than you thought it would be based on the last half decade and what happened, the protests of 2020, and just how bad crime got in this city and not having a jail being a big part of it?
Yeah, I mean, you could blame 2020 and the council that did, the defunding and all that, but really this is a 2014 issue, the August of 2014 issue when Ferguson happened. It lit a fire of anti-policing and all this reimagined public safety. It's failed across the entire country. The reality is we have hundreds and hundreds of years of data that shows that professional policing works, and that people that do bad things can be helped. They, if given the opportunity, can be given resources. Now, it doesn't mean all of them accept them, but it does mean that we at least give an opportunity to, before we start housing people, in state custody for crimes that probably could have been short-circuited between, the the time they stole a candy bar and the next time they started breaking into people's houses. We have to have an opportunity and give us opportunity to short circuit that bad mentality and that bad behavior.
And you feel like right now the men and women in law enforcement are really wanting this jail to get passed and be built.
Well, it is an absolute frustration for the men and women that do this job, mainly because we do this job and we're getting it done right. We're making the arrests. I could publicize every one of these homicide suspects that aren't domestic violence related and show you how many times they've been given some free pass somewhere, somehow didn't get, got a 5-year probation on a case that in a county, just one county north of us, would have spent 10 years in jail. We need it. We need help. And if we don't have help, if you look at the stats, this is the third or fourth most dangerous start of a year that we've ever had. Maybe not in the number of shootings, but definitely in the ones that complete their mission by committing homicides. Our domestic violence homicides are through the roof at this point, and we're it's going to circle if we don't get this under control. The county finally took their first step to start building theirs, and the city's going to do the same.
All right. Last thing then, Brad. Why do you think I know there was a big press conference yesterday. The domestic violence homicides are skyrocketing in this town. Why?
Oh, my God. If I knew how to fix that, I wouldn't be a union president. I'd be a book writer and a multimillionaire.
Yeah.
I just don't know.
Yeah, it's tough, man. It's tough. Well, hey, we appreciate you being here. Thanks for all you're doing, and we're hopeful today will play out for the best. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Pete. Have a good day.
You as well. Brad Lemon on KCMO, the Fraternal Order of Police President in Kansas City, Missouri. Good stuff out of him. Always appreciate his time.